Hey guys, Joe DeMarco from the Crazy New York Driver Show. Today is Friday, November 21st, 2025. Welcome to another eBay video. Today I'm going to be discussing an interesting update on some of the returns that I got last week. And last week was a crazy week for returns. I'm also going to be talking about eBay nagging us when we put something in our watch list, and I've got an egregious story for you about that. You just can't really watch anything on eBay anymore without being bombarded with reminders from eBay. I'm also going to be talking about some other eBay issues that I think you guys will find very interesting. So, let's get right into it. First of all, before we get started, for those of you who didn't notice, I put out several videos this week regarding New York City history, the way it was in the 80s and 90s. When I was young, I always had a camera with me and I took it everywhere and I took loads and loads of pictures. I was always a camera nut. And I've realized I've got all these pictures and I hate, if anything ever happens, they're going to get thrown out. So I decided to start scanning them like crazy and making videos and narrating them, and people seem to like them. So you can look forward to me doing a bunch of them in the near future. I have about probably at least 7 or 8 planned for the next month and a half. So you will be seeing a lot of that. I hope you like it. Starting in January or even earlier, I also plan to start my location videos up again, if the weather permits. So far, the weather's been very nasty. Cloudy, cold, on and off rain, which is why I've been staying in, scanning pictures, and narrating videos. So that being said, let's get right into the eBay section of the video. First, some crazy updates regarding 2 of my returns last week. Last week I had about 8 returns. It was absolutely sickening. You may remember I told you I had 3 returns in 1 hour. That's never happened to me before. I'm amazed when I read some comments from people in the Facebook groups saying they've been selling on eBay for 20 years and they got their first return. Obviously they don't sell in motors. And I've been in contact with a lot of motor sellers this week. Everyone's in agreement that returns are off the wall, sales are incredibly slow, and one thing that's permeating all of eBay is bad buyers who are getting items and wanting a partial refund, or in some cases a full refund, and they're refusing to return the item. They'll come up with some crazy story why they think it's dangerous to return the item or the item has a bad smell, but they still want that money back. Do not cave in. If they want to return it, accept the return. All right? But it's really getting bad. I've seen so many cases of it this week in the Facebook groups. It doesn't happen to me often, but it seems to happen to a lot of other people. So please keep in mind for that scam, always make sure they return the item to you. Now, on the topic of returns, 2 that I want to focus on. Last week I told you that I had someone that sent me pictures claiming the item arrived damaged, which it did. I told them, go ahead, send the item back to me, I'll give you a refund. So what happened is, I sent it by UPS. And if you've ever encountered this before, when you go to the UPS store, they don't want to honor the claim because you did not use your own account, you used eBay's account. They say you have to settle it with eBay. It's happened to me twice in my career. So let's put that to the side for a second, and let's jump to the second story about, I told you I sold a wire wheel key. This is the very key. If I list these on eBay, the odds are if it sells, 90% chance it's going to get returned because people are stupid. In this case, you can see it's got a tan top, means it only fits a tan bolt. And I even put a picture of the pattern. And these idiots still buy it and return it as wrong, usually saying it doesn't fit. But this particular customer claimed just didn't like it, which was highly unusual. I believe, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I believe it was the right key. I believe he bought it just to unlock his wire wheels because he needed brakes done. And then when he got them off, he figured he'd put them back on without a lock, which is perfectly fine, and I even recommend it. And he figured, now I don't need Joe's key. I used his key for free. I'm sending it back to him. And that's what he had in mind. That's what I believe happened. So this was a few weeks ago. I'm waiting, and I'm waiting for it to be returned. Last Friday, it was either Friday or Saturday, I get a notification from eBay at 10 o'clock in the morning saying that the item has been shipped back to me, meaning that he took it to the post office, they scanned it in. Okay, right? Let's just say it was early. Let's say 10 o'clock. 20 minutes later, I get another message from eBay saying, give the buyer his money back. The item has been delivered to you. Tracking shows it's been delivered. How the heck could it be possible that he mailed it 20 minutes earlier and now it says it's delivered to me? It's not physically possible. So I decided I would go online and I would check the tracking number and see exactly where it was. The tracking showed it was in Phoenix, Arizona. So they're telling me in 20 minutes, it went from Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA, Northern California, where the girls are warm, so I could be with my sweet baby, yeah? I'm a nut. No, seriously. How could it be shipped 20 minutes later, be in Phoenix, and they claim I have it? That ain't gonna fly, okay? Something's really wrong here. So I requested a callback, got a representative on the phone, showed him. I said, I got the notification 20 minutes ago that the guy dropped it in the mail. Now it says I got it back, and you can see it's in Phoenix. The guy put me on hold, comes back and says, listen, Joe, something's very wrong here. I'm closing this case out in your favor. You will be able to keep the money for the key. We will reimburse the buyer out of our end, and everything's good, and it won't count against you. All right, win-win for Joey. So he says, is there anything else I can help you with? I said, oh yeah, by the way, there is one other thing. I sold an item to someone and UPS damaged it. The buyer showed me pictures and he's telling the truth. I'm going to give him his money back, no problem. But the UPS store says I did not use my personal account, so I can't make the claim. They said I have to take it up with eBay. So he asked for the return ID. I gave it to him, looked at it, put me on hold, came back and said, well, Joe, look, you've been with us for 27 years. I'm closing this one out in your favor too. You get to keep the money. We'll refund the customer his money and everybody's happy. Hey, that's great. I honestly don't know if that's the way they usually handle it, because this is like only the second time this has ever happened to me in my 27 years on eBay. The first time it happened was years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And back then, I was in fact using my own account. So I did get a refund from UPS directly. But then again, I'm happy with the outcome of both those returns. Very surprising, very, very surprising. But cute Joey did well on that. All right. Lately, I'm getting very concerned because I'm going long durations without selling anything, something that never happened until this year. It's not unusual now for me to go 36 or even 48 straight hours without a sale. It's depressing and I don't get it. And it's not just cute Joey, it's happening to everybody in motors and probably across the board, though I can't swear to it. But what's really rubbing salt in the wound is this. My slow period this particular week was, I believe, from Sunday to Tuesday. I mean, it was like nothing. Okay? Now, I went on to eBay just to see if there was anything I could buy and maybe flip, because that's what I do. And I came across something I liked. The seller was asking $200. Now, there's no way I'm spending $200. But I would be willing to spend $100 because it's not a real common item, and even if I got it for the $100, I would have to clean them up, do a little repair, and sit on them at least, I would say, 1 to 3 years. Like I said, it's not a hot number, but it's something I'd like to have. But as I've told you guys before, I cannot, in good conscience, send a seller an offer for 50% or less of his asking price. It just goes against my grain. I don't feel right about doing it. So I'm looking at the listing, and he just listed it. It's brand new. It's got a week to go. Okay. I said, it's got a week to go. Let me put this in my watch list. This was early in the morning. Let's just say 9 a.m. Let me put this in my watch list. And by lunchtime, my mind will be clearer and I'll decide what to do. I know I can't leave it in the watch list overnight or I'm going to get nailed with notifications from eBay. Also, again, let me remind you, I haven't sold anything in at least 36 hours. I put it in my watch list. 15 minutes later, I get a notification on my phone. 15 minutes, all right? The piano music, ring. I'm like, oh yeah, oh, this is good news. Maybe I'm finally breaking out. Maybe a customer is sending me a reasonable best offer. It was eBay, reminding me that the item is still available. Still available? The guy just listed it, for Christ's sake. I really hate when eBay tries to force feed us an item, and I've talked about this before. But 15 minutes after I put the item in my watch list and it still has a week to go, it irritated me so much, I stopped what I was doing and I took the item right out of my watch list, and now I'm not even going to consider buying it. You can't try and push people. You can't try and bully people into buying something. If they put it in their watch list, leave them alone. Now, if you want to remind them 10 minutes before the item's ending, that's fine. 10-minute warning, no problem. But this crap, this insane nonsense of these badgering notifications is just uncalled for, in my opinion. Another thing that's been happening during these extended droughts, and I've talked about this before and I'll keep talking about it, it's uncanny. When I go 36 to 48 hours with no sale, I will hear the piano music. Oh, yeah, it's a best offer. No. It's a customer with some inane question. For instance, what does this measure in centimeters? That is one of the most common. Every time I get one of them, I say, I'm not measuring anything. The fact that you even asked me to tells me that you want to use this item for a purpose other than its intended purpose. I'm going to insist that you purchase it locally so that you can try it on your wheel to see it fits before you buy it. And then I block them. Sorry, I take too much time in describing my stuff and using the compatibility feature to be measuring in centimeters. Good day, old chap. As I said, the week itself has been a very, very slow week. One of my slowest. I didn't have a single good day. I'm sure each of you guys has a certain amount of money in your head that you would like to make per day. All right? I did not attain that any days this week. Not once. And as I said, I went long periods without selling anything. As far as cancellations are concerned, yeah, I did have one. What the heck was it for? It was only one. Can't remember what it was for. It's not that important. But you know what's weird? Remember in last week's video, I told you the story about a guy who sent me a reasonable best offer of $119 on an item that was $130, and eBay told me I'd be paid right away. Remember that one? I accept the offer and I was never paid. Never. All right? That pissed me off. I have since blocked the guy, and I ended the listing, and then I relisted it. But after a week went by, I went back to his feedback, and he purchased the exact same item from another seller. So my question to you guys is, let's say you're selling a blue sweater, all right? And let's say you over there, you're also selling a blue sweater. I come to you first, I send you a best offer. You accept my offer. Now, why isn't eBay taking the money out of the account right away? Why do they let me then switch to this other seller, send him a best offer, and then he gets paid, and the first seller doesn't? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. I believe that anytime eBay tries to charge somebody and the card is declined, that should lock up their account. Lock it up so they can't do any more damage. Then they have to add a valid payment method, and it has to go through. All right? Now, two interesting stories from the week regarding these non-payers. I had a person Monday during the height of my drought send me a best offer of $35 on a $45 item. eBay said I'd be paid immediately. No brainer, I accept. Monday, no payment. Tuesday, no payment. So I had it in my mind to block him, but I didn't get a chance. Something came up and I forgot. On Wednesday, 48 hours later, I get paid. I'm lucky. I consider myself lucky. I'm lucky, Joe. All right? I got paid. I don't know why this is happening, but it is. An even crazier story happened to my friend Charles, who I've been talking to, because he had a similar incident. A few weeks ago, he listed an item. Someone sent him a best offer with a love note. If you accept my best offer, I will pay you right away, immediately. eBay told him he'd be paid immediately. He accepted the offer. Didn't get $1. 4 days came and went. It closed out. He never saw $1. So he listed the item, went back about his business. The next week, what do you think happens? The same deadbeat comes back, sends him the same offer, and says, this time I really will pay right away if you accept my offer. Now, had it been me, I'll be honest with you, I would never have accepted. I would have blocked that person right away. Charles was busy and forgot to block him. And hey, things happen. It happens to me too. But Charles accepted his offer. And Charles told me, hey, I accepted the offer. I said, well, buddy, if he doesn't pay you, I'm going to break your balls like they've never been broken. But he actually did get paid. I'm not saying he got paid right away like he was promised, but in the end, he did get paid. And fair is fair. Charles made the sale. Good for you, Charles, but I don't give people second chances when they don't pay. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. What can I tell you? All right. Just think. Next Friday is what's known as Black Friday. I've always been in retail all my life, and it's a day I've never liked. I've never liked it. But what can I do? Some of you guys have been asking why I have not been drinking eggnog yet. I feel it's too early in the season, for Christ's sake. Rush deals never work. I like to wait till we get into December at least halfway into December. I mean, this goes back to what I talked about the Hess toy trucks. It used to be a seasonal thing. Hess toy trucks meant Christmas time. People loved them. They were a huge commodity. Then that greedier than thou company decided to release them before Halloween in an apparent money grab that failed miserably. They have single-handedly ruined the entire collector gathering on Hess toy trucks. Nobody's interested in them anymore, with the exception of some of the older ones from the 70s and 60s. Those still will always have interest. But as far as the new ones coming out, they ruined it for themselves, and it's never going to come back. All right? Corporate greed, my friends. Always watch out for it. So that's basically all I have to talk about right now as far as eBay is concerned. It was a very lackluster week. Very lackluster indeed. Well, that's about all for eBay topics tonight, guys. Since you guys seem to enjoy my life stories, I'm going to tell you another one now. And this one I will title The Speeding Porsche. And it happened back in around the late 1980s, I believe. Let's just say 86, 87, 88. It was on a weeknight. And I had a friend of mine that was a mechanic up in Westchester County. Now, on weeknights, I really very rarely would go visit him because I had to get up the next day and go to work at the junkyard. But I don't remember for what reason he coerced me to drive all the way up there, up the Springbrook Parkway, all the way up to Westchester. But I did on a weeknight. We hung out, this and that, and it wasn't that late. It was around maybe 11 o'clock p.m. or a little later when I left his place, and I started heading back through the streets to the Springbrook. And there's the entrance to the Springbrook. I start going up the entrance ramp in my 1977 Cadillac, which was the car I was driving back then. And I'm coming up. This blur shoots by me at over 100 miles an hour. I recognize it as a late model Porsche. So look at that guy. So I punched it a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit to see if I could even keep up to his taillights up ahead. Not even close. The Springbrook has a lot of long, smooth stretches. So I could see him way up ahead. Then he'd go around the curve, disappear. Then I'd finally get to the curve, come out of the curve, and I'd see him still way up the road. And that's the way it continued for a few minutes. As we're entering into Yonkers, we're coming around a particularly rough curve. And I briefly lose sight of him. As I'm coming out of the curve, I see a lot of smoke. Oh boy. I think I know what happened here. I see people pulling over, getting out, running. What happened was this maniac in the Porsche lost control going around the curve, clipped one car, hit the old-fashioned metal guardrail that they used to have back in the late 80s. Not the concrete one they use today, but the metal type. Flew over that thing, hit a car head on that was going northbound right at the roof line. And I think you know what that means without me having to get into it. the Porsche continued to slide upside down, all right, and landed upside down. It completely shut down the northbound traffic. I was on the south side. I pulled over as well as about a good 15 other people to see if we could help. The people in the Oldsmobile, the innocent victims, they were driving a 1979 Delta 88, which was hit right at the roof line. And there was a lot of people in the car. They had to have 5 or 6 people in the car. And at least 1 or 2 of them were still with us because they were moaning. All right? I'm not going to even get into the others. But I then checked on the Porsche. There were 2 people. The driver was a young, heavy-set person, and he had a female with him. And both of them were totally unresponsive. I don't know if they were knocked out from the crash or the other thing. And it was now probably 11:40. I got to get up and go to work the next day. By luck, there was an entrance ramp right there on the north side, and a police car came down. I don't think it was a troop car. I think it was one of those Westchester County cops, if I remember correctly, in a Chevy Impala. And he came roaring down. And yeah, I decided I should get out of there because I really didn't need to get involved in it. It was too late, and I had to get up to go to work the next day. And it was serious. And this maniac hurt, or maybe worse, caused a lot of damage to a lot of people. But yeah, that's one I'll always remember. So that's it for the life story of the week. Comment below if you'd like to hear any more life stories, and if you have any particular topic that you'd like the life stories to discuss. Recently, I've been doing a lot of grammar school and middle school stories. I figured this week I'd do something a little different. But if you'd like me to go back to school stories, talk to me. I'm Crazy New York Driver, you're not. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, informative, and entertaining. I will be putting out several videos over the next few days dealing with historic New York City and a few about New Jersey. I hope you enjoy them. Rock on and peace.